Let me tell you about an experience I had several years ago at the job center. I just dropped out of engineering, freshly unemployed as a 19-year-old, I think. I forgot how old I was. But I remember the job center was just like trying to help me find jobs. I was putting in jobs that I had applied for with no successes, right? And I remember they pulled us in for a mandatory 2-week training. And brother, let me tell you, it was the most useless shit that I had ever attended. They had us doing like these team building exercises where they had us like stack sticks up to make like the highest tower possible. You know, that kind of shit, like the icebreaker sessions. I actually did meet some really cool people. And the thing that you'll learn about unemployment is that, yeah, there are a lot of like boomers who think, oh, it's just the fucking lazy Gen Z or whatever. Not to mention that a lot of the people there were like are very, very engaged, but oh, it's just lazy people who are dragging us down. They just want their free payment, their benefits and shit, right? Because that's how it is in the UK. We have a welfare system. I'm not going to comment on whether it's good or bad. Uh, I know a lot of people who have very differing opinions on it, which also coincide with how successful they are in life. I can't lie. Um, But the job center pulled us in for 2-week training, and at the end, we were gonna get a guaranteed interview with a company who I shall not name, a company for video game QA testing, right? And what they failed to mention was that this job that we were applying for was a 0 hours contract, which basically means they'll call you in whenever they have demand, but the job structure is not stable. And I got to understand this type of job for like, oh, you're a student, you want to work part time and make a little money on the side. But keep in mind the people that I met that were forced to attend this mandatory training, a lot of these people were like, I've got kids, I've got payments that I need to make on like houses or cars or some shit. And what I was saying before, I forgot to follow up, was that a lot of people here were extremely educated and intelligent. I knew a guy who was like, I went over to his place and he had some like really dope ass graphic like design art shit that he was doing. He was working on his own video game. Uh I know like if anybody's watching this, they'll say, "Oh, graphic design, that's kind of become outdated with AI." But that's not I know it's not readily apparent on a CV, but like this guy was very, very intelligent. You could just tell from like the way he spoke. And another guy who had like children was being forced to attend like this 2-week thing. He had to travel in. He got a train. He had to be away from his kids. Well, his kids were probably at school, but he had to be away from his like wife and kids and attend this training for a job that wasn't even like stable or guaranteed. Also, I did get onto this job, but bro, I didn't get hired onto another project for like several months when they asked me to. So just think about like forcing a guy who could be applying to jobs. I know it's kind of a fruitless exercise. Forcing a guy who could be applying to jobs, who needs to get on track as fast as possible to support his family, feed his family, right? Uh, Imagine like offering that guy like a 0 hours contract. It's so it's so brutal, man. And gosh, that job was so shit working it. That company was so disorganized. When they gave the speech, like introducing the job, they were talking about they never mentioned it was 0 hours contract. You would only find out like almost not almost like after you took the interview. And like there was some guy there who was asking like, oh, would there be an opportunity for coding or anything? And then the guy at the front was just like, "Oh, yeah, maybe. Sometimes you get blah blah blah." He just like spinning his wheels basically. Um, there was never an opportunity for coding. I should just he just got fucking lied to, and I saw that guy there, and he just I don't know, miserable. But I hope that guy found his own sort of passion project to code because I know those guys were like not offering it at all. Um, so yeah, 0 hours contract for a struggling family man with two law degrees, or just one law. It doesn't fucking matter. A law degree, right? And had passed the bar, but for some reason can't find a job. And I'm telling you, this happened like 3, 4 years ago. This is not even now. Things are probably even worse now. I mean, like, from speaking to my friends who have graduated, and I know people are gonna say shit like, "Oh, he's got a media studies degree." I'm not making fun of this friend. He fully admits to me that this was useless. Like, he thinks going to uni was like the biggest, most obsolete, like, waste of time. I keep using the word like too much. It was the biggest obsolete waste of time that of anything that he'd ever done in his life. He got a first, which he's proud of. Like, that's an accomplishment, I guess. But otherwise, he said, "Nah, I knew I was gonna be unemployed after I finished my degree." And well, that's technically not true because he found a job at the Odeon. You wanna guess what the hours are? It's it's 8 hours a week, and it's not even on a consistent day. What this Odeon company has done, which I'd have to guess that they're like several million pounds worth, right? Uh, I don't know if this is a business in other countries, but the Odeon basically they're a cinema. They get licensed out movies to stream in theaters, right? But they hired like 16 odd people, he told me, because he was doing the training with 16 people. They hired 16 odd people, and they were all just going to be. I imagine it works like a normal retail job, which I've had the experiences of. There's a group chat or something, and they say, "Hey, who wants to work these hours?" And then you'll work those hours. So if it's like 16 people clamoring for the same shift, I imagine it's not that, but just imagine needing money or needing to pay rent or needing to pay whatever utilities, whatever you need to do. I know he's a young guy, so he doesn't really have any major responsibilities right now. He doesn't have to pay rent. Like, he doesn't have to. He's fortunate enough that his parents will pay for things for him. Not like consumerism stuff, but like I mean like food and bills. Um, but imagine if you had dependents and then you went through like interview stages and then you got given 8 hour shifts once a week. If you're looking at, I think he mentioned it was like UK minimum wage. If you're looking at UK minimum wage, it's like around 12 to 13. 12 times 8 is around 100. It's 96. 12 times 8 is near 100. I'm sure the minimum wage is like 12.50 something. 100 a week, 400, 400, 400 a month. The the accommodation that I'm in right now, it's not mine. The accommodation that I'm in right now, though, you have to pay like you gotta pay like 250 a week to stay here. So yeah, bro, student accommodation is absolutely extortionate, and this is like one of the better ones that you can apply to. The other places, it's you gotta share with 8 other people, share a kitchen, and you're still paying around 200 a week, which is absolutely insane. So my friend's part-time job wouldn't even be able to help with that. And his girlfriend also works at a retail job, and the shit that she has to deal with on top of just being sat down all day or like having to, I don't know, mindlessly stock shelves. Gotta sit there, scan shit, and then bro, the odd bloke is just gonna say some absolutely deranged shit to her. They're gonna just straight up ask, "Well, hey, do you wanna have sex?" He told me that somebody actually said that to her, which is insane. People just ogling her all the time. Um, just crazy the absolute harassment and stuff you got to deal with. Like on an unrelated note, my parents work with people a lot. They serve customers. It's the stereotypical Chinese chippy kind of thing. You know how like a bunch of I have Indian friends, and if you or it's all corner shops for Indians and the chippies for like Chinese people in the UK. It's so funny. Um, when you have this kind of thing going on, bro. My parents sent a news article in the group chat that they'd served a pedophile who got caught in the news texting a police officer posing as an underage child. And my parents were bent up around the fact that the pedophile came into this shop and didn't pay for a spring roll. They were more bent up about that fact instead of the guy actually being a nonce. Like, it's so funny. But sorry, I went off topic there. Um, I was gonna say, at that job that I picked up, the QA testing one, right? I worked there for a bit, and it's always nice meeting new people. I do enjoy meeting new people, but not to get brutal or anything. And my friends have all said the same thing because we all have the privilege of being young, but we don't want to be at these places when we're 40, 50 odd. We don't want to be here for a long time. You just look and you're scared of what you could become if you get too comfortable. And all I'll say is that in a practical sense, loyalty was not really rewarded at that company. Um, it was basically a coin flip whether you got onto a permanent contract. Because the nature of QA testing, I don't want to talk too much about it because I was under an NDA. But the nature of QA testing is kind of luck based, whether you find things that are wrong with the game or not. Um, and like if we're measuring performance based on how many bugs that you find in a video game, it's like, how are we going to give out permanent contracts based on that? Because I'm not gonna lie, I didn't deserve a permanent contract, bro. I was lazy as fuck at that job. I if I'm being honest, the one of the managers there asked me if I could work more convenient hours. I lied and I said that I had to get a train back to a different city, and that the last train would be running at hours that were past the working hours that he had asked me. But then, because of how disorganized the whole workflow is, I basically got to come in for 2 hours and like had no work because how it would work is that some people would contract us, some outside companies would contract us to do QA testing, right? And basically there'd be different time zones. I think the coders would have to talk to some people at their company, and then those guys would have to communicate with the top of our company, and then it would have to trickle down to us, and that would just take a long fucking time for us to know what to do essentially. And then I had to go all the way from us back to them. So anyways, bro, I got in there 2 hours and what's the word I'm looking for? It's like overly confident or just like boisterous or something. Someone could tell me what the word is. I just got in there. I just started fucking reading my book out in the open. All the higher ups could fucking see me doing it, and I didn't really give a fuck because there was nothing to do. And they just asked me to do ad hoc, which is like, I don't know. I don't really agree with that. I'm gonna sound lazy as fuck, but it's just so unproductive to like do ad hoc work. Cause like, what the fuck am I looking for? I don't have like a goal, a set aim. I'm just wandering around in the game trying to find shit, but I don't even know what's wrong. I don't even know like what stage of development we're in. Uh, the other thing I was gonna say was that when I was talking about the people that were there and that were older and that had clearly been there for a long time, I spoke to a lot of people and they told me that they were still getting paid minimum wage several years later, even though they were on a permanent contract, even though they were kind of like in a position of higher power. They were managing a team of QA testers, right? They were still getting paid the same as me. So at that point, I was like, yeah, this is not gonna cut it. I'm not staying here for a while. The chance that they give me a permanent contract is basically zero because I couldn't conform to the hours that the manager wanted me to do. He was not a bad person, by the way. He was just doing his job. Um, there was no reward for loyalty there, and you know, I kind of need to apply for jobs, but at the end of the day, it's like I'm applying for. I mean, it's not going to happen to me specifically, but I'm applying for the opportunity for someone to ask me to have sex with them, while I'm working. I'm applying for an 8-hour shift every week that's barely gonna help me pay for groceries. I'm I mean, actually, I shop pretty cheap, so it would help me pay for groceries, but, like, other things, that are also important, like rent, it's too insignificant, and with the way that things are, and I've had a lot of other people say this online, and because I don't wanna get all doomer about it. I know a lot of people tend to they kinda tend towards doomerism, which I don't really agree with. I just think if you lose hope, you lose everything. If you don't have hope, you have nothing left, you know? There's been some shit about Pandora's box there, but there is a positive aspect to this in that your wildest dreams are literally more likely to come to fruition than you ever finding a job that's good enough for you to support yourself or the life that you wanna have. If you wanna become a fucking unicorn, you probably have better odds of doing that than, making it here. So, if anything, there has never been a better time to chase what you're actually interested in and achieve what you actually wanna achieve and do what you wanna do. And that's probably the only positive thing I have to say. Peace out.